Hey everybody, it's Kerry. I'm back with the week ahead look for June 28th through July 4th. I missed last week. I had guests in town. I thought I could get it done. I could not. So sorry you were flying blind for the last week, but I'm sure you did okay. Anyway, let's get into it. I named the thumbnail this week Cost of Freedom. So I wanted to talk about why I was inspired for that. July 4th is the big birthday of the United States every year. But this year it's 250 years for our birthday. In the United States, there's a lot of theming about freedom and liberty. And so I was inspired to name this Cost of Freedom because the birthday of the U.S. is coming up, and also because of the configuration that I'm seeing. When I think about freedom and liberation with the planets, Ketu comes up number one for me. Out of all of the 9 planets, the energy of Ketu is very otherworldly. It's the part of each of us that knows that there's more than just what we see here in the physical world. The idea of spirituality or liberation from the cycle of birth and death. That is always a Ketu subject in my mind. So when we're looking for freedom, the other flip side of that is confinement or bondage. And so when we're feeling stuck and obstructed, often that is a Ketu issue. And what we need to do is flip something around so that we can see the way out and find the freedom. But the thing is, nothing really comes for free in the world. And it's almost like everything has to find, have a cost or a toll. And when we're looking at anybody's chart, any chart at all, let's say me is in the first house. I'm in the first house, the self. And then the 12th house, which is the very last house if you start at number 1, is known as the house of loss and liberation, among other things. So the flip side of liberation being confinement. So sometimes when you look at a 12th house in a chart, you're going to find how somebody's confined as well. So both sides of that coin are shown in the 12th house. So let's take that a step further and say, all right, the cost of anything is really, you can find it in the 12th house from the thing. For example, how much does it cost for me, the self, to run my life? I'm going to find answers to that in the 12th house. When I have maybe a transit coming in through my 12th house of a certain planet, it might be smart of me to think, oh, this planet might cost me something. It might cause an expense. If it's my 4th house ruler, maybe it's a house expense or a car expense that comes along. So that said, if Ketu is freedom, and then the cost of that freedom is going to be found in the 12th house from it at any given point. And right now we have Jupiter, Mercury, and Venus all in Cancer this week, which is 12th house from where Ketu is. And that's what inspired me. The feeling of, I want to be free, I want to be unobstructed, I want to keep going along down the road. What do I have to do? What do I have to let go of? What do I have to pay? What do I have to volunteer? What do I have to donate? Those are all 12th house things in order to find some relief from any kind of bondage or allowing me an open road ahead of me. So that's why I named it Cost of Freedom. And maybe for you too, you can think about that. And where Ketu is transiting in your chart, whatever house that is, all those wise teacher and student planets, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury, are in a position for us to calculate that cost. How do I get out of this? What do I have to do to get out of this? Right? So that might be boiling up for you individually or for us collectively. So anyway, that's where the cost of freedom came from. All right, so today is June 27th. It is Saturday when I'm making this video. This is actually Saturday's chart, the beginning of the day. The moon started out the day in Anuradha. Just to catch you up, because we missed last week. What happened last week was Mars moved from Aries into Taurus. He's there now. He'll be there pretty much all of July. And then Mercury moved from Gemini into Cancer, but that's not going to last long because we've got a Mercury retrograde phase starting this week. And so he's going to take a retrograde motion and then retreat back into Gemini. But those were the two main big planet moves last week that I missed telling you. And the other thing is that last week and this week is the moon outside of that Kala Amrita Yoga. I'll stop talking about that soon, don't worry. Because this is really, we've already actually gone through the final full expression of that yoga pulse. That's finished. There's one more pulse, and it's going to happen in July, but it's a partial. I'm talking about that more in my July monthly forecast, which I'm also writing at the moment. So check into that when I get that published. It'll probably be a couple days. But the idea is that I lost my train of thought. Hold on one second. The idea is that with that combination in effect, the nodal axis makes a kind of an invisible line, and then all the planets are dumped on one side of that line and one side of the zodiac. Last week and this week we had the moon kind of escaping that, which I think gives perspective. The whole vibe of that combination brings the feeling of fated actions or fated circumstances that we must face, that are going to bring us information maybe we don't want, but we have to deal with anyway. A feeling of kind of being trapped or stuck. So the cost of freedom thing comes back into play. So all of the full expressions are done. On 4th of July, Venus is moving out of Cancer and into Leo, which will put Venus and Ketu in the same sign for a while, for all of July. And when there's a planet that is actually with one of those nodes, that planet kind of emerges as the breaker of the combination. So the clue here is it could be Venus-related things that unlock forward movement as we head into July. So think about that. Relationship stuff, business stuff, food. Venus rules a lot of different things. So maybe it's that feeling of like, well, nobody's reaching out to me and inviting me to things. Maybe you should invite somebody to things. Maybe that is what unlocks the feeling of loneliness that you're experiencing. So, all right. This is Saturday. The moon is in Anuradha nakshatra. It's currently waxing. The full moon is coming up this week. I did make keywords for today, even though it's almost over for many of you. Social responsibility. No pressure, but pressure. Social responsibility. What is your role in life? Anuradha is kind of that nakshatra that rules contracts and connections and friendships. So that feeling of what is your side of any relationship? What do you have to give to it? What's your responsibility? Okay, let's move on to Monday. And again, I'll just say it, these keywords I'm using, for those who want to know how I'm coming up with them, I'm using the nakshatra and the tithi and the vara, which is the day of the week. And I kind of look at those and let myself, and the chart of the day, and then I just come up with the keyword. So that's my precise process with that. All right, Monday, I'm sorry, this is Sunday. I skipped. Okay, you guys, it's not even working. Hold on. Okay, I see what I did. Bear with me. See, I take a week off. everything breaks. Hold on. I was going ahead by an hour. Come back. All right. Now I'm going to go switch my day. Okay, you guys see how that all works. All right, now we're going ahead to Sunday. This is the 28th of June. The moon starts out the day in Scorpio, will move over into Sagittarius throughout the day. So the day starts with Jesta nakshatra, and protective services is the key word. So those words sometimes work together. Sometimes they're almost separate energy that then comes together. Protective came to me because of Jesta. It has this protection energy to it. But there's also then the relationship of the sun and the moon this day is a 6-8 relationship, which is very service oriented. So on Sunday, maybe not much else happens, but you kind of gather your forces and protect your boundaries. Okay, Monday. Let's see if I can do it. All right, Monday the 29th. This is a huge day. I have a lot of notes for this day. As you can see, the moon, at the beginning of the day is at almost 8 degrees Sagittarius. So as the moon goes through a Monday, it's going to get into opposition with the sun at 13, 14 degrees Gemini. So the full moon comes. The day starts out with the moon in Mula, but then it moves into Purvashada as the day goes by. So when the full moon actually comes, it will be in Purvashada nakshatra. And you can read more about that. I write extensively in my monthly forecasts. I do speak those out and read them, but they're also written. So if that works for you, go find my website, planetaryinfluence.com, look for the forecasts. You can go back years and years and see what I thought was going to happen, in June of 2004, for example. Okay, so Monday. The other thing that happens on Monday is Mercury goes into retrograde motion. As you can see at the beginning of the day, there's no underline. Underlines mean retrograde on my charts. So during the course of Monday, Mercury goes retrograde. So we're getting Mercury retrograde, then the full moon. What else? Oh, yes. Then during the full moon, I'm not going to depict it because it's just going to take me too long. But at the moment of the full moon, both Saturn and Mars are going to be aspecting that full moon. The moon is nicely strong in Sagittarius. Yay, that's good, especially with Jupiter well positioned at the moment. But let's pay attention to, on the top of things, we might feel positive and buoyant. But Saturn aspecting and Mars aspecting the full moon could be like reality checks, in a sense of like, oh, hey, don't go too fast, or oh, hey, you forgot to do this, or oh, hey, this person's not on board with what you want to do. So that could be like a little bit of a friction or stoppage feeling. The other thing that happens on this day is Mars is exactly aspecting true node Ketu. And that feels like the freedom that we're looking for, that gate that's across the road that we want to open. Mars exactly aspecting Ketu feels like the power to push through something. So Monday just seems like a really big day. There's a lot going on. Keywords I came up with are blossom inward. Blossom inward. The full moon energy is usually very big. And with the Saturn energy coming in and the Mars aspecting Ketu and Mars aspecting the moon, it just feels like do it inside. Outside it might be, I don't know, just not as effective. So anyway, that's Monday, the 29th. Lots going on that day. All right, let's move on to Tuesday. This is the 30th, the last day of June. The moon is middle of Sagittarius at the beginning of the day. This is Uttarashada nakshatra. And I'm sorry, it starts in Purvashada, moves to Uttarashada. It's hard to keep track of that moon. But this is the first day after the full moon, so now we're waning. The other little tiny thing on this day is looking, and again, I'm looking at true nodes here. I have true node calculation showing. Tuesday is the day that Rahu actually moves out of Shatabhishak nakshatra and into Dhanishta. Rahu has been in Shatabhishak since the beginning of December 2025. And I attribute that alone to a lot of the drama that's been going on all over the world. I'm not saying that as of Tuesday, like a switch will go off. Not at all. But perhaps we move into a phase where it's less chaotic and more manageable, hopefully. So all of that said, the words for Tuesday are stop, go slow. So it could be the day for the pause. Another note on the node changing. So Ketu is currently in the nakshatra of Mula. It's not shifting nakshatras at the same time as Rahu. Rahu true node will move on Tuesday, but if you happen to be looking or calculating your charts with mean node, which is the other way of looking at the nodes, that shifts at the end of July. So all of July could feel like little bits of Rahu activity could keep sneaking in and stinging you. So just because I'm saying it's moving on Tuesday, the mean node is still relevant. And so just let's not get cocky about it. Let's still just be careful. All right, just realize all of July is like a shift of Rahu into a new nakshatra. Let's look at it that way. All right, July 1st is Wednesday, and we got the moon starting out the day in Uttarashada. The moon is opposite its own sign while it's in Capricorn. So it's also opposite retrograde Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter. That feels like good energy to me, actually. Now, let's talk about retrograde Mercury. I kind of glossed over that. Each retrograde Mercury cycle lasts about 3 weeks. So this one goes until, I think, like the 23rd or so of July. In general, the advice for retrograde Mercury periods is slow down, double check, don't overbook, because Mercury rules all the things we need to get through every day. Communication, schedules, all of those sort of normal everyday things are really ruled by Mercury. And so when Mercury is retrograde, things get a little wacky sometimes. They can move faster or slower than you expected. So in general, let's, starting on Monday, let's take a step back, slow down, and just be careful with what you say, how you say it, what you promise, and how much you put on your list of things to do, because everything could take longer. Okay, so now back to Wednesday. This is a lot of good energy, really, with the moon looking at Jupiter and Venus, and even retrograde Mercury. So words for Wednesday are change order. Change order. So what I'm telling you is this could be a good day to be really light on your feet, ready to pivot when it's time to pivot. Remember that Wednesday is also Mercury's day, and when Mercury is retrograde, things may not go as planned on Wednesdays. So there we are. Okay, Thursday. This is the July 2nd. Moon gets into Shravana nakshatra. We're in a waning moon phase, still opposite those 3 planets in Cancer, still outside of the nodal axis. Thursday's words are absorb wisdom. Shravana is very receptive. It has an ear as a symbol. It's a very soft, kind nakshatra. It's associated with listening and receiving. So absorb wisdom. It's almost like Moon looking across at Jupiter and Venus and saying, yeah, there are good people out there who know what they're doing. Let's listen to them. Let's be practical. Okay, then we've got the Friday, July 3rd. The Moon will start out in Capricorn, move to Aquarius. It's Dhanishta nakshatra. Sweet surrender is what I'm coming up with for Friday. Sweet surrender. All right, I'm moving forward to Saturday, July 4th. This also seems like a big day. Okay. So it's like Monday and Saturday seem like the big days for this week ahead. Lots changing on Monday with the full moon and retrograde Mercury, and then Saturday, the big astrological thing of that day is Venus moving. So look at Venus 29 degrees 55 at the beginning of the day. So it's going to be pushing through Cancer, the end of Cancer, and into Leo on Saturday. So that does what I mentioned before. When Venus now joins the node, that whole full Kala Amrita Yoga combination kind of gets broken or weakened. In July, we'll have one more time when the moon escapes and Venus will be with Ketu. So that's going to be a partial version of that. Also, the nodes go direct this day, I was noticing. That's another thing. After the whole week of retrograde normal node motion. Radical reckoning. Radical reckoning. That's Saturday's words. Just as I say that, the wind comes up and my umbrella is about to fly out, so let's be careful. Radical reckoning on the 4th. Okay, so the other thing I noticed about July 4th, and this has to do with the United States' birth chart. You look at the moon and Rahu combination. That's another thing to note. The moon dives back into the nodes. It starts out the day kind of right there next to Rahu. I feel like Saturday could bring unexpected events because of that energy. And I want to just switch over to looking at the United States chart just for a minute. I think I did a reading for the United States sometime. I'll find the link and put it up here for you. It wasn't that long ago, some months ago. And so just look at the moon of the United States chart. It's at 7 degrees 15. It's in Shatabishak nakshatra. That's why us Americans are so crazy. I would say the main feature of the United States chart is actually the moon being in Aquarius and Rahu being in Cancer, which are each other's signs. That's a parivartana, the exchange of signs between Rahu and moon. I would say it's the distinguishing feature of the U.S. chart. I think it's the melting pot. I think it's diversity. I think all are welcome. I mean, that's not really the vibe right now, but maybe we can get back to that. So yeah, I'm just saying this is an interesting day, being the 250th birthday of the United States, while in real time both moon and Rahu are transiting over the natal moon of the U.S. Interesting. The other part of it is that the U.S. is in Rahu major, Ketu minor, period. So overall, we're in a big, we United States is kind of in a wobbly, tenuous position. The whole idea of will we actually make it to 250 is, I'm joking about it, but I don't know. We only have one more week. Let's see. So yeah, just an interesting thing. Let's look what happens on July 4th. It just seems like a big day to me, because even though Mars has passed the degree of aspecting Ketu exactly, there is kind of a machine setting up with aspects with Saturn from Pisces, aspecting Mars in Taurus, which then in turn aspects Ketu in Leo. So this feels like, and this is going to be in place through July. This feels like something trying to push and change, and but it's possibly not graceful. And in your own life, this energy could be used to force things through, do hard work, do that thing you've been avoiding, power through. Like that's the energy I'm getting out of this configuration. So all of that said, I really appreciate you guys watching and tuning in and making your comments, and thank you for giving me the week off last week, even though I didn't get permission first. Anyway, love you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Take care.